Hey guys, welcome to a new video. In today's video, we're going to look at a Leetcode problem, and the problem's name is smallest missing integer greater than sequential prefix sum. So in this question, we're given an integer array called nums, and a prefix is sequential if this condition satisfies. And also in particular, the prefix consisting of nums of 0 is sequential. And the task is to return the smallest integer x missing from nums such that x is greater than or equal to the sum of the longest sequential prefix. So there are two parts in this question. So first is this condition and second is this condition. Understand what the condition one says. So this is the longest sequential prefix. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is equal to 6 because they asked us to do the sum of the longest sequential prefix. Sum is equal to 6 and we have to return the smallest integer missing from nums such that x is greater than or equal to the sum. We have to check if the sum is present inside this nums. So x is equal to 6. So 6 is our output because 6 is not present. If 6 was present, we have to check if 6 plus 1 which is 7 is present. But here 6 is present, so 6 is the output. Again, condition 1. This is the longest sequential prefix. 12, 14, 13 is not sequential, so you can't take this. So this is the longest. Sum of that prefix is equal to 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is equal to 12. X is what is x? We have to check if 12 is present. Yes, 12 is present. So we have to check 12 plus 1 is equal to 13. We have to check if 13 is present. Yes, 13 is present. So add 1 plus 1. It's 14. Check 14 is present. Yes. So add plus 1 again. 15. Check if 15 is present. 15 is not present inside the array. So 15 is the output for this question. Now what the second part says that, let's take this example. So let's take this example, example 3. In this, there is no longest sequential prefix. The prefix consisting of only nums of 0 is sequential. So nums of 0 is the longest. So nums of 0 is equal to 19 is the longest prefix. Now we have to check the sum of that. Sum of the single element is same. So sum is equal to 19. We have to check if 19 is present. Yes, 19 is obviously present. So add plus 1 and check again. Check if 20 is present. 20 is present. So add plus 1 and check again. 21. 21 is not present, so 21 is the output for this example. So this second condition is the tricky condition which we have to place a special check. So coming to the code, first I created a hash set which will contain all the elements. So I used a for loop which will iterate through the input nums. So let's take the first example as input. I add all the elements into the hash set. So 1 will be added, 2 will be added, 3 will be added, 2 is already there so it won't be added, and 5 will be added. I'm using a hash set because to check for this missing condition, that particular sum which we find is present inside the input or not. So I'm using the contains method on the set to check if that element is present inside the hash set. So that is the reason we are adding all the elements into the hash set. Now we have to find the sequential elements. I start with I is equal to 1 and I create two variables, sum and max sum. So I assign the 0th element as the current sum, and max sum is also the current 0th element. Now I start our iteration. I check if current element 2 minus previous element 1 is equal to 1. Yes, 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. So increment sum with current element. Current element is 2. So add that to 2. Sum will become 3. Now I update the max sum. Max sum is calculated by current max 1 comma sum. So max sum is also updated to 3. Now here I'm checking this condition. If max sum hasn't been updated, if max sum was still equal to the first element, that means we haven't found a sequence in the first part itself. So this condition will get triggered. So if the first elements are only not a part of the sequence, so here they're part of the sequences 1 and 2. For example, if there was 1 and 3, this condition would have failed and max sum would have remained the starting element. If that is the case, so nums of 0 will become the longest sequential element, like in this example here. So during the third example dry run, you will understand this condition. But as of now, this condition will get skipped and we go to the next iteration. Next iteration, I is at 2. We check nums of 2. Nums of 2 is 3. Nums of 1 is having 2. Check if the difference is 1. Yes. So add that element nums of I. Nums of I is equal to 3 into the sum. So plus 3 will be added, it will get 6, and max sum will be updated with max of 3 comma 6. Max of 3 comma 6 is equal to 6, so max sum is 6. So this condition is not satisfied again, it will skip and it will go to the next iteration. I is at 3. Now we check if nums of I, which is 5, minus nums of previous element num is 3, difference is 2, which is not equal to 1. This if statement will fail and we reset back sum to 0. So sum is resetted back to 0 because that sequence broke and we start a new sequence and we have to update max sum. Max is equal to current max is 6 and sum is equal to 0. Max will remain 6. And now in the next iteration I will move forward and it has gone out of bound, so we come out of the for loop. Now we are using this set to check if the current max sum is present. Max sum is equal to 6. We check if set contains 6. No, set does not contain 6 anywhere. So this condition will get skipped and we skip the while loop and return whatever is present inside max sum. Max sum has 6. So 6 is returned as the output for the first example. Now in the second example too, we find the sequence in the first part. So this condition won't be triggered for the second example also. Now let's try for the third example. So let's take the third example. So we create a hash set, push all the elements into the hash set. So 1947, all the elements will be pushed into the hash set because there are no duplicates. So this is done. Now we create two variables, sum, which is equal to the first element 19, and max sum is also equal to the first element, which is 19. And here we know the numbers start from the range 1 through 50, both inclusive, so there won't be any empty elements inside the array. So you can skip the base check that if input is empty, there shouldn't be any missing element. Now we iterate from I is equal to 1. We check if the current element 47 minus previous element difference 19 is not equal to 1. So this condition skips. And we reset back sum to 0. And max sum is max of 19, 0, which is 19. And now this condition will be triggered. Max sum is equal to nums of 0. Max sum is still the same. So it means we haven't found a sequence in the first part only because there is 19 and 47 are not sequentially increasing. So that is not a sequence. This part is not a sequential prefix. Since that is not a sequential prefix in the beginning, the prefix consisting of only nums of 0 is sequential. So nums of 0 will be the longest sequence now. So nums of 0 is equal to 19. And sum of that single element sequence is equal to 19. So max sum is still 19, right? So this condition triggered. And we check if set contains 19. Yes, set contains 19. So increment max sum plus 1. So we add plus 1 to max and it becomes 20. Now again in the while loop we check max sum is 20. We check if 20 is present. Yes, 20 is present. So again we add plus 1 to max sum and it becomes 21. Now we check if 21 is present inside the set anywhere. No, 21 is not present anywhere inside the set. We return 21 as the output. So this is the important check and we directly return here. This part will be ignored as it won't be reached. The program will end here. So this is the main part of the question. Now this is a good example to test our code with. So we are giving the input 38, 43, 44. So we might think 43, 44 is a sequence, but that is wrong because this is coming from the second part of the sequence. If we don't find sequence in the first part, the first element nums of 0 is going to be the longest sequence. So nums of 0 is equal to, we check if 38 is present inside the set. Yes, so add plus 1. 39, we check if 39 is present inside the set. No, 39 is not present. So 39 is the output for this example. So for that, we are checking the first part of the code itself. So for example, I is equal to 1, right, initially. We check the difference between 43 minus 38 is equal to 5, which is not equal to 1. So it is not a sequence. So this part will be skipped. Sum is initially 38 and max sum is also 38. And now this part will skip and this will be executed. Sum will be changed to 0 because we didn't find a sequence. If you don't find a sequence in the first part, you can remove this part of the code because if we don't find a sequence in the first part, you'll get the answer here itself. It won't go to the next iteration. If this part of the code is there, we update max sum with max of 38, 0. So max sum is still 38. We check if max sum is equal to nums of 0. Yes, max sum is equal to nums of 0. So this means no sequence in initial part. Then this will be triggered. So nums of 0 is equal to 38 then because of this condition. So that is the longest sequence, 38. So we check if set contains 38, maxsum is 38, yes 38 is present, so increment maxsum. So maxsum will be incremented by 1 and 39. We check if 39 is present inside the set using a while loop. No, 39 is not present, so we come out and return whatever is present inside maxsum, which contains 39. So 39 is the output for this example. So if we want to test it, let's place that example here. So I place the same example as nums of 3. Let's comment this part of the code and check what the output is. You get 45 as the output, which is the wrong output, because it is checking this as a sequence and getting the next part 45 as the output. But if initially there is no sequence, we have to take this as the sequence and check if 38 is present inside the set or 38 plus 1 and so on is present inside the set. Now let's uncomment this part of the code. We check if first part is not sequential prefix by checking if maxsum has not been changed from the first part. If it has not been changed, then that nums of 0 will be maxsum, and then we check if maxsum is present inside the set. Now here if we run, we're getting 39 as the output. Now let's debug the code. So 38 minus 43 is not 5, so else sum is 0, maxsum is 38. Maxsum is still 38, so it means initial part has been triggered as sequential prefix. We check if 38 is present inside the set. Yes, so increment, make it 39. Check if 39 is present inside the set. So set contains 3 elements, 38, 43 and 44. 39 is not present. 39 will be returned as the output. So we're getting 39 as the output. So the time complexity of this approach is O of n, where n is the length of the input array nums. And the space complexity is also O of n because we are using a hash set to solve this question. That's it guys, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.